All right, this is the first introduction to Audacity video we're putting together. Here I am in Audacity, and I wanted to show you what we're working on. We're working on putting a series of clips together that's going to sound like a lion is eating a lamb. So at this point, you should have downloaded these sound bites, and we're going to have the lion eating the lamb here, and we're going to have all these other sound effects in there to kind of enhance the scene. When you're done, it'll look something like this. That's kind of where we're heading. Okay, so we'll go back to Audacity here. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to insert a file. So you go to the File menu and go to Import. All right, File, Import, Audio. Go to the file, browse to the folder. You have all those in. And we're just going to put a little background music in, which is going to be this jungle sounds, some jungle sounds. So click on that and hit Open. And then here it is. We're going to play it. Hopefully you can hear that through the speaker. Just your general jungle sound. Now, we want it kind of quiet in the background. We wanted a background music so it doesn't interfere with our other sound effects. So we want to tap this down. There's a couple ways to do that. One is to come over here to the left-hand side. These two sliders are the sound. So if you slide these down a little bit and then hit play, you'll notice it's a lot quieter, right? Hit undo, which is Control-Z, or slide those back to where it is and bring it back up to where it was. Because the other way I want to show you how you can kind of soften a sound effect is by using this command right here, this envelope tool. If you click on that, notice the shading changed shapes in your selected file. So your mouse has those two triangles. Go ahead and click and hold, and you can kind of drag down and notice how the whole effect is getting smaller. And the smaller it gets, the less sound it has. Go ahead and test that out. Now carefully here, if you look closely, you can see a little white dot where you clicked. You have to go back to that dot and click it again. If you go to a different spot, watch what happens. You can see how you can adjust these things up and down depending on what you want it to sound like. So there's another way you can kind of fade in and fade out sounds. But go ahead and, if you've done that, and play with that for a second, but then hit undo to remove them all. And we want just to reduce this sound in the background a little bit, so it's not as loud. All right, there we go. That's the first one. Now, to give it a little more of a real effect, we're going to add some rain coming in. So let's go back to the file and import audio. And this time we're going to do some rain. So click on rain. And we just want to listen to the rain for a second. So I'm going to come up here to our jungle clip, and I'm going to click mute. When you click mute, it grays it out. And now when we hit play, the only thing we hear is the rain. Okay? So we want to do a couple things with this. First, we want to make it a little quieter. So I'm going to click on, again, the envelope tool, and I'm going to drag it and just make it a little quieter. Then we want to move it. So to move it, I'm going to have to slide and use this time shift tool, the one with the double arrows. And click on, I'm just going to drag it over in about 4 seconds in. Then it doesn't only last a few seconds, I want it to last a little bit longer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste it. So I'm going to choose the selection tool, which is the black I-beam. Watch this, click and drag over that clip. And just get the clip, try not to get anything extra, like that. And I'm just going to kind of do, keyboard Control-C and Control-P for paste. Or you can come up here to these tools, you can copy it, click right next to it, see where the black line is, and choose paste. And now I've doubled up that. And I'm going to move it. I'm going to go back to the arrow, and we're going to move it so they're kind of next to each other. Let's go ahead and play that. And notice now here, I'm going to go back to the, so if I click here, notice nothing happens. I have to go back to the selection tool, the I-beam, and then click over here, and then wherever that line is, that's where our assignment will start. So I'm going to click there, click play. You kind of see how that goes. If I unmute this and come back to the very beginning, and this arrow with the line in it, it takes it back to the very beginning. And I'm going to click play there. I'm going to do a couple things here. First of all, 4 seconds, 5 seconds is a long time before the rain starts. So I'm going to click on the time shift tool and just move it down to a couple seconds. Move these down to the couple seconds. Then I want the rain to kind of fade in and fade out. So I have to go to the selection tool, and I'm going to highlight just the first couple seconds of the rain. I'm going to come up to the effect menu, and here are all different things you can do to the sound effects. The one I'm going to choose right now is just fade in. So notice how it kind of starts low and kind of builds up. Let's see what that sounds like. So it sounds like it's starting to rain. And then I'm going to come here on the back end. I'm going to fade this out. So you got to click and select. Again, you're going to have the selection tool. Click and select the last couple seconds. Come up to the effects and choose to fade out. Now when you play that, it fades out. Okay? The next thing we're going to do is bring in the sheep by his ba. So go back to File, Import, Audio, and find the sheep here. Click Open. I'm going to mute these two just for the second, just so we can hear it. Oh. Now notice here I had this highlighted down here. I'm going to go ahead and click the skip to start button, bring it back. There you go. There's the ba. We want to move it. So click the move tool. And we're going to drag it out till right after the rain. Maybe we even start this in the rain a little bit. Okay? And we're going to copy and paste several bas in here. So click the selection tool, copy, and you can copy it with Control-C or the copy button up here. And then just go out a couple seconds and, paste it. Go out a couple seconds more and paste it. And we can adjust these in a minute. But just put 3 or 4 of them in there. Maybe 5, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. We're going to adjust it here in a minute. Now, so now when we click, you can hear it. And there's silence before the next. And there's silence again before the next. All right? Now, we're starting to run out of space where we can see our clips. So what we're going to do is we're going to shrink our clips by taking our mouse, and notice when you put it right on the edge, right there, right on the edge, your mouse changes shapes right there to the double arrow. I'm going to click and I'm going to drag this up, and so it's a little less, takes up less space. You can go down to the next one, drag it up, and then drag up here. So it's nice when you're working on a clip or a track to expand it out. It's a little easier, but then when you're done working on it, make it a little smaller so you can have more room, you can see how everything fits in. Okay, so there's our sheep. Now we're going to work in the lion. So let's go to File, Import, Audio, and we want the lion roars. Go ahead and add that track. We want to move it, so click on the move tool. We'll come down here, we'll have him roar after the first ba, and then we'll have him roar again. So I'm going to change to the selection tool, select it, copy it, and then paste it, click and paste. So now let's see how this is going to sound together. Notice I still got the background muted, and I'm going to click right before the first ba so we can kind of see how this sounds together. So that kind of, this ba was not heard. So maybe what we can do is move this one a little closer so he can ba right before he roars. And then we'll just kind of move these down a little bit. And so it's a little closer together. All right, you can check that out. Again, I'm going to click, I've still clicked there, we'll start it again. Now with the silence here, so even though we've got some sounds here, remember we're going to have this background jungle sound going on once we unmute that. So that sounds good. I'm going to move this up. So we've got the lion, and I'm going to move these down a little bit because I don't want this to go more than 30 seconds. And we're a little, by the time we put a couple of things in here, we're going to run out of time. So I'm just going to go back and let's just move everything. Whoops. I'm going to move everything down just a little bit. Get everything down a little closer together. And that way that'll give us a little more space to do our work. Move this out. Get him a couple bars. There we go. Something along those lines. And you can play with it. It's not exact science. It's natural. So the idea is we want to give you a little space here to do some other things. Now, what do we want to do? Well, let's look at the finished example and kind of show you where we're headed. We've got some footsteps. So here's the lion is roaring. Then we're going to put in a series of footsteps. Then we're going to have him eating the lamb. So notice how the lamb doesn't speak anymore after he starts being eaten. Okay, so those are the next couple things that we're going to be putting in. Let's go back here and add some footsteps. So go File, Import Audio, and we want some footsteps. We'll notice, and then click OK. Notice it's just one footstep. We're going to have to drag him down and position him right after his last roar. The lion is running towards the lamb. And we want to copy and paste that. So there's like 4 or 5 steps. So go ahead and copy. And then right next to it, paste, and then click, paste. And it doesn't have to be exact. Whoops. Messed up there. Doesn't have to be exact because we are going to move these together here in a second. Once you've pasted several steps in, we want to go to the Remove tool or Time Shift tool and just kind of slide them together so they're right next to each other. I'm going to go back to my selection tool and click just right at the end of the roar. And let's see how this sounds. Yeah, maybe that's one too many step. So I'm just going to go back to this one right here, this last one, and I'm going to cut it. So go up here, or either hit cut and remove it, or you can select it and I'm going to hit the delete key on my keyboard. Either way, it's fine. So we've got kind of those 3 or 4 steps together. Then we're going to have some crunching sound. So let's go to File, Import, Audio, and get a little crunch like he's eating it. Open. And again, we're running out of space here, so I'm going to come up here and I'm going to make this a little smaller so we can get the crunch sound in our screen, on our screen. We're going to move them. So slide Time Selection tool or Move tool, select it, and we're just going to slide it down after the running or the footsteps. Now I just want to point this out. Notice how this crunch, it has on like 2 different tracks where all these other ones are 1. That's because this is in stereo. So you could, and some tracks that you get will have the stereo. You could kind of make one track's louder than the other track by adjusting these. In our case here, it doesn't matter. It's just a crunch. So again, we're going to select it. Again, going to go back to the I-beam, select, and let's have him munch a copy. And we'll have him munch a couple times. And then move them together with the I-beam or the arrows. Kind of slide them all together. All right, we'll see how this sounds. Go back to your I-beam and go back right to the end of the roar. Click there and let's play from that spot. And again, I think maybe we have one too many crunch there. I'm just going to take out this last crunch. I'm going to select it and just hit cut or delete. And now we've got the lion eating the lamb. All right, I'm going to stop the video at this point. I don't want our YouTube videos to be too long. Sometimes YouTube doesn't like that, and it helps you kind of keep track of where you are. So this is going to be the end of part 1. Open up part 2, and we will finish our clip here of the lion eating the lamb.